In this video, we'll look at how to set up user authentication and authorization with roles in Blazor.net 8. Create a new Blazor web app project. Select the .NET 8 framework. The most important part here is to select individual accounts for the authentication type. This will scaffold a whole bunch of components related to user authentication. Let's have a quick look at what was scaffolded. In the Components folder, a new Accounts folder with pages were created. Here we can see all the pages related to interfacing and managing a user, for example, the login and register pages. Under the Normal Pages folder, it added an auth page to demonstrate using authorization on a page. An authorize attribute was added to this page so that unauthorized users cannot access this page. Instead, they'll be redirected to the login page. We'll see how this works in a moment when we run the app. Next, a data folder and migration folder were created with a migration file to create all the user-related tables in the database. Also, a data context class was added. Looking at the class definition, we see that the constructor is defined with the class declaration instead of using a traditional constructor method. What's important here is that our data context inherits from identity DB context, not the standard DB context. In the app settings file, a connection string was added. This will be the database where the user tables will be created. Here, you may want to change the connection string name, set up your server to point to your local SQL Express server, and change the random database name to something more meaningful. Finally, in the program CS file, services related to the identity user and authentication was added, as well as mapping to the identity endpoints. If your connection string in the app settings file is correct, you can run the app. When we run the app, we see the home, counter, and weather pages that come with the standard Blazor template. Beneath that are three new pages. The auth request page, which we saw will only grant access to authorized users. The register page and the login page. Let's try them out. When we go to the auth request page, it won't let us pass and redirect us to the login page. Here we can see all the pre-built functionalities like forgot your password, register a new user, and resend email confirmation. Since we don't have a user yet, let's go to the register page. We'll add an email address, a password, and a wrong confirm password. You'll get the password and confirmation password do not match error. After correcting the confirmation password, it says our password does not meet the minimal requirements. We'll choose a better password and try to register again. We get an error page. We haven't updated our database yet with the latest migration. It first needs to create all the identity user tables in our database. Here we have three options. Either click the Apply Migration button, run Update Database in the Package Management console in Visual Studio, or use a .NET EF command in the terminal. Let's see what happens if we click the Apply Migration button. It will run the migration for you. And when it finishes a message, try refreshing the page, is displayed next to the button. When you refresh, a confirmation message will pop up and you can resubmit the user registration. A registration confirmation page is displayed that should send the user an email with a link to confirm their account. But since we don't have an email service set up yet, we can simply click the link to confirm the user's account. The Confirm Email page shows that the email was confirmed. Now we're still not logged in. When we try the Auth page, it still redirects us to the login page. We use our newly created user to log in. and we're granted access to the auth page. Notice the login menu item has now changed to logout. If we log out, the auth page will again redirect us to login when we try to access it. In the background, in SQL Server Management Studio, we can see our database with the scaffolded user tables. In the user table, we now have one user and the user's email has been confirmed. With our user authentication working, we can now look at authorization and how to create roles for users. Before we implement roles, let's get a better understanding of the role tables that were scaffolded for us. There's the users table that holds our users, and then there's a roles table that holds all the different type of authorization we want to give our users, like admin or member, etc. Of course, there's a many-to-many relationship between these two tables. A user can have many roles, and a role like admin, for example, can be assigned to more than one user. So there's a junction table called user roles to join up these two tables with one-to-many relationships. The user roles table will hold the user ID and the role ID it is linked to. In SQL Server Management Studio, we can see the three tables. Here we see the user roles table with a user ID and role ID column. But now we don't have any roles set up yet. Ideally, you would create pages in Blazor to manage the roles and assign them to users, but that's not the purpose of this video, so we'll just manually set that up in our database. We edit the users table and copy a user's ID value. Then in the user roles table, we paste it into the user ID column. In the roles table, we can paste the same value for the role ID and simply change it a bit and give our role a name and normalized name. Copy the role ID and paste it into the role ID column of the role users table. Now the user and role are linked. To use roles in our application, we must add the service in our program CS file. Find where it adds the identity core service and add roles to the service with the identity type role. That's all we need to add roles to our pages. In the auth page, we already have an authorize attribute that limits access to this page to valid users only. But we can also limit the entire page to specific roles. Simply add a roles argument and list the roles that can access this page. We can also limit portions of a page to certain roles. Here we added an authorized view tag with the role of admin, so only admin users will see this part of the page. Let's test the roles, but first we'll need to register another user that does not have an admin role. Click the link to confirm the new user's email. When we go to the auth page, we first need to log in, of course. So we log in with our user that's not admin. If we go to the auth page, we only see the welcome message, not the admin message. So let's log out and log in with our user with admin rights. The admin role portion of the page is displayed. Thank you for watching our video. For more tutorials on C#, hit subscribe and click the reminder. Give us a like so the video can be visible to more people.